Hello, 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 hello. Today's Thursday. Yay! Pretty close to the end of the week. So, if today's day 179, ooh. Tomorrow's day 180. We're streaming next week. That's 85. We won't be streaming the week after that. That's 90 up to the 28th. 1st to the 4th. That is of September, that is 95. That means that we're looking at a day 100 around September 11th. But I already know I won't be able to stream on Monday 7th. How are we going to do this? Whoa, shit. I don't want to finish streaming on September 11th. The day 200, I mean. September 11th is kind of sad. Oh, but it's a day off in Spain. It's a day off in Spain. That'd be pretty cool. Samantha's here. Hey, Samantha. Morning to you. Good to see you. How have you been? I know you're quite private with your things usually. So if you don't say anything, I'll understand. Great, you. I'll tell you in a sec. Let me just get some water. Here we go. Samantha, I'm pretty good. Well rested. Woke up before my alarm clock today, which is not often. Yeah, I feel like I've been taking care of myself this week because sometimes I'm a little abusive and I go to bed very late. And because I wake up early for the stream, it's making me more tired. And over the week, I can feel it. But this week I've been able to go to bed at the right time, so I'm pretty damn happy with that. I think it's a little point of pride to be able to keep that discipline. Because yeah, waking up early is hard, but going to bed earlier is actually harder. Does that make sense? It's like a lot of the difficulty is in going to bed early. It's not necessarily to waking up. I think today's a learning stream. I think it'd be great to have a little bit of music to go with it. Great to have a little bit of music to go with it. Playing on this. Oh, it's not playing on my device. This browser. Nice. Do we hear it? Yeah, we hear it. Hey, foot long cycle. Hello, hello. Cool chat, Kappa. Hey to you, Foot Long Cycle. I think it's your first time here. Welcome, I think. Or no. Foot Long Cycle, you have 2 messages. So you had 1 message before. Nice. Could be. So it's not your first time here. Alright, so welcome, Foot Long Cycle. Today, Foot Long Cycle, we're learning about basic of computing. There's a few things that I want to focus on that we had from last time. Just decrease the music a little bit. Oh, how do I decrease it for myself? It's a bit annoying how Spotify doesn't remember sound settings from one play to the next. Seems like it should be pretty basic. But no. The Swedes decided to do differently. Alright, so we're here. We're doing that. Oh yeah, we're learning. Hehe. Kinda forgot. Alright. Like, what am I doing here? Nice. Clicking here, and you can't see shit. Why is that? Why can't you see anything? Should be able to at least see the Firefox. Ay, everything's broken today. Ay. This and now the screen. Where the fudge is it? Turn off and off Firefox. If I close it, if I start it again, will it pop? No, it won't. Ay, so difficult. What's up, Foot Long Cycle? Tell us more about yourself. What are you into computing at all? Or are you just interested in computing? Looks like I have to get a new one. Looks like a new window capture. I'll go Firefox 2. No, not Firefox. Yeah, Firefox 2. Vamos. There we go. Okay, that works. Whatcha? Oh, we're here. Nice. This we move to the front. Nice. And there we go. Woohoo! We did it. Awesome. So, folks, today we're talking about a few topics that were quite interesting. Yesterday we learned about some cool concepts. Let me tell you more about them. Let's go back to overall chill. Let me tell you about those things we learned yesterday and what we're going to be focusing on today. So, a computer is basically a a piece of metal, a piece of many metals that controls billions of tiny electronic switches which go on and off. That's pretty much it. It's just blinking lights. Well, a bit is either a 1 or 0, and a byte is composed of 8 characters. So it's 2 to the power of 8, so I think it's 512. Anyway, Microsoft 64 bits mean that the computer features 64 like actual bits, 1s and 0s. Like the CPU actually features 64 bits. And the thing is that with 32 bits, we only had 4.3 gigabytes of data. And now we can have of data in the memory because there was only 4.3 gigabytes of data that were accessible in the RAM. And now this is nothing. 4.3 gigabytes of RAM, most computers have it. I've had 4 gigabytes of RAM, is pretty low. And now with 64, you can just go so much higher because it's exponential, right? It's to the power of 2. So it goes a lot higher. So yeah, now we have, I think like, it's incredible. The doctor's live. Yes, Freedom Now. We're live. Welcome. Good to have you, Freedom Now. We're going to computer basics today and we're remembering what we did yesterday. We also talked about physical address and the difference between a physical address and a virtual address. A physical address is an actual position on the physical card of your CPU and your... Whoa. On your CPU and your actual like RAM, CPU and stuff. And then you have the virtual address, which is an address that is given to you. It's kind of like an isolated environment that's given to you, and where you think you're gonna have, and where each application thinks it's starting at 0, at byte 0, but it's not really. It's just an illusion. But if you have a laptop with 4 GB using x86 version, would it be beneficial or not? I don't think so, because we didn't ask about the x86. We asked about the 126, and not really. Not really, since we couldn't use that. Like there's no reasonable way. And even more cyberpunk right now, if you have a 64-bit system today, most systems will actually cap the last few bits because they don't use them. x83 is equal to 32-bit. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a good question, Cyberpunk Reno. Let's answer it. Let's answer it. I'm down. That's a very good question. So programs need to start at 0. Yeah, therefore OS creates many starting bytes for these programs. And also for security, right? Because if you have different programs that start at 0, they don't overlap with each other. They each have their own dedicated address in the RAM. My question is though, when RAM jumps from one to the next, I guess the address on the CPU have to change, no? Do you know what I mean? If Firefox starts downloading something and needs a ton of RAM, then other applications that are at the back of it are going to need to have their place in the RAM changed. Oh, you don't see my chats. All right, block. And let's go over there. We're just going to answer this question real quick, and then we're going to finish the recap. But hey, folks, good questions. If you have more questions like XR/Cyberpunk Reno has, go for them. Temperature LLM. Where does randomness enter? We wanted to ask here. Okay, let's ask here. So we said that applications believed that there was a fixed a virtual, maybe it just rearranges it in the I'm going to say in the CPU. So we said that applications believe that there was a virtual 0-bit. What if an application needs to have its memory place changed? How does the system change that without disrupting the application? Exactly the question that led computer scientists to invent virtual memory. And the answer is one of the most beautiful ideas in the operating systems. Wow, that's a pretty big promise. The short answer is the application doesn't know its memory moved because it never sees physical address. Okay. Imagine your Chrome. Suppose Chrome's allocate memory. X init is equal to 42. Virtual address is equal to this, 0x1000. As far as Chrome is concerned, 0x1000, that address never changes. Behind the scenes, virtual address, physical address, 0x 800,000. When Chrome asks us, give me what 0x1000, the CPU actually does this, 0x1000 MMU, looks at the page table and then this, RAM. So Chrome never really sees that. Now suppose RAM gets crowded. Imagine RAM looks like this. Chrome empty, game empty. The operating system wants to rearrange things, so it copies Chrome's memory elsewhere. Empty, game, Chrome empty. Chrome has physically moved. Does Chrome notice? Nope. The operating system simply changes one entity. Before it had this, after it has that. All good. Chrome still asks for 0x1000 every single time. The MMU silently redirects to a new location. It's like GPS. Imagine your friend's house's move, originally this. Later she moves there. Okay. The address is still... just the address changes, not the actual person. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Alright, now let's ask Cyberpunk Shareno's question. I'm really intrigued by that. Boom! Just paste it into ChatGPT. Yes, there are some benefits, but they're much smaller than most people expect. Okay. Why might 32 be harder? I think there's a bit of compatibility there as well. A 64-bit pointer is 8 bytes. A 32-bit pointer is 4 bytes. Every time a program stores a memory address, it uses a pointer. If a program has millions of pointers, 64-bit, 1 million pointers times 8 bytes, 8 megabytes. What does it mean? What is a pointer again? What is a pointer? Ah, shoot, I forgot what a pointer was. I have no idea what a pointer is. Excellent. Pointers are one of the most important concepts in computer science. When you understand them, memory, operating systems, C, C++, even short LLM tensor libraries start making much more sense. A pointer is simply a variable whose value is a memory address. Yeah. Okay, of course, no. We already knew that. A pointer is basically a label. Do you folks know in programming, go to and label? I used to love this when I was designing little algorithms and in my senior year of high school. So the last year of high school, I was 17. I love putting labels out there that would just go toro, toro, toro. Little programs that would ask you to do different things. I made one that would calculate your average. Like, what other little programs did I make? I don't know, some things that would display things. It was kind of fun. And you had like label and go to were really fun. That used to be on my calculator. It was like the smallest thing, the smallest screen you could have. That was fun. That was fun. Alright, what are the pointers? So a pointer is simply a variable whose value is a memory address. A variable whose value is a memory address, not the data itself, just the address of where the data lives. Okay. A variable whose value is a memory address, okay. So why do we need pointers in life and in computing? Especially in computing. Pointers are a variable whose value is a memory address. You know, much more than I thought about computing is in the RAM. Memory for computers is just so essential. I didn't think it was that important. Rouse is here. Hey, Rouse. Sending the dinosaurs over. Rawr. Rouse, we're doing a little bit more of of basic computers today. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, we were counting on you. How dare you? Rouse, I'm not your boss. I'm not your boss. It's okay. I'm not like an angry client. Hey, Ivan is back. It reminds me of when I was at university. Yeah? What did you study, Ivan? Ivan or Ivan? Ivan Loliver? I think it's maybe more Ivan. No, Ivan. Ivan. I think Ivan would be more your name. Sorry, I'm late. Man, I'm like an angry customer that's that's waiting on their networking setup. No, all good. Once you understand them, the memory, operating system, C++, and either SLM tensor libraries start making much more sense. A pointer is simply a variable whose memory is an address. Who is a memory address, not the data itself. Just the address of where the data lives. Address 1000, value 42, 1001, value 19, 1002, 88. Okay, so what is the point of all this? Imagine RAM as an apartment building. Okay, closing my eyes. RAM is an apartment building. Got it. The number 42 is stored at memory address 1000. Okay, imagine another variable contains 5000, 1000. Notice what happened? The value stored at 5000 isn't 42. It's the number 1000. And that number is an address. That makes it a pointer. That'll be points docked off your semester grade. Man, I don't want you all to feel like this is university. A number is an address. That makes it a pointer. An analogy, think of your house. Your house contains your bed, your TV, and your desk. When you tell someone where you live, you don't hand them your house. You give them the address. A pointer is exactly like that. Instead of storing the object, it stores the object is over here. Okay, wow. That's pretty deep stuff, huh? We got in pretty deep. So folks, let's finish the recap of where we were from yesterday. We kind of get the point of a computer. Oh, okay. But we didn't answer Cyberpunk Reno's question yet. Around. All right, so it says here, I'm from Uruguay, and there we speak Spanish. Ivan. But people in English say Ivan. So both are fine. I'm a software engineer. Nice. Oh, well, you know your stuff then. Ivan. And with a V, a little bit like a ban, no? Like a little bit of a B, or not really? Why might 32 be better? Okay. So we have 32-bit pointers, 4 bytes. So, folks, just for you to understand here, Cyberpunk Reno asked a really good question where he said, if you have a laptop with 4 gigabytes of RAM using an x86 version, would that be beneficial or not? And the thing is, x86 is 32 bits. So you don't really need, in theory, to have that extra memory because you can't use it. So the question here is actually interesting because 32 bits might be better. So here you have fewer pointers, 4 megabytes. You save memory. Why 32-bit? Okay, so here you save memory. 32 bits, you would be saving some memories. Everything gets a little smaller. Many structures contain pointers. On a 64-bit system, you have a little bit more data. That would take a little bit more data to store. You see here, next prev value, 4 bytes, 12 bytes. Almost half the size. Multiply that by millions of objects. So if you have many small objects, then 32-bit system would be a little bit better. Because it's like empty folders and stuff like this, I'm guessing. They take a little bit more space. Without any reason. Because it just takes up more of your empty just more emptiness in it. Cache efficiency. Smaller structures mean more fit onto the CPU cache. You might fit 100 objects into the same cache. Sometimes that actually makes programs faster. So why doesn't everyone use 32-bit? Problem, you're limited to about 4 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, modern software is written assuming 64-bit. So kind of like we said, the compatibility issues. Many applications no longer even release 32-bit versions. Many applications won't run. Browsers are increasingly optimized for 64. So trade-off usually isn't worth it today. Okay. All right. Around 2005, 2012, this was actually common advice. People with 2 gigabytes of RAM would often install 32-bit Windows. But since we're not in 2012 anymore, XR, we should no longer need this kind of thing. All right. Salut, ça va? Oui, et toi, Natir? Yeah, the way you said my name is perfect. Thank you. Do I know Ivan? I speak Spanish, so how about Ivan? Ivan. Do you speak Spanish, Cyberpunk Reno? Man, that'd be a big discovery about you if you spoke Spanish. Todo el mundo aquí habla español, entonces. Everyone here speaks Spanish. Epistemic, hello. Using a 32-bit will have a little bit more memory. We'll save a little bit of memory as pointers will be smaller, but all the actual data you need will still be the same size, so it won't save too much overall. Yeah. I think it's especially, let me know what you think, epistemic. But my thought is that the more small objects you have, the more memory you'll save. If you have many tiny objects, then that could be a lot of savings. Natira said, for a week or two, I went down the rabbit hole of computing, right from the microprocessors to modern computing. So much to learn. I agree, yeah. There's a lot. Wow, yeah. Un piscine? I can speak it not well, though. Un piscine? Piscine? Not sure what I mean, piscine. Un poco? You want to say? A little bit. Un poquito. Un piscine. Maybe it's something that someone in Latin America says. I'm not sure. Piscine. Your English is really good. There's no French accent. Thank you very much, Natir. If you miss it too much, I can bring it back, though. All right. Cool. So then we learn about I'm just doing a little recap of what we learned yesterday, folks. So we remain geniuses while becoming even more genius. Does that make sense? Because if you're a genius, but you keep on forgetting what you learned, you're not that much of a genius. But if you retain everything and you add more, then you're like even more of a genius. That makes sense, okay? Don't question it. Don't question it. Rings is basically need to know, but for system services. Ah, right. So apparently, folks, there's rings. There's rings out there, and oh man, my mouse is out of battery. I'm getting a new mouse today, actually, but okay, it's back. Just shake it and it works. All right, rings is basically need to know for system logic. Okay, so apparently in systems, and especially in Linux, you have a concept called rings. It's the idea where you have ring 0, which is the most, where the computer has access to the most stuff. And then you have ring 1, which is rarely used, ring 2, which is rarely used, and ring 3, which is for applications. And ring 3 for applications is basically a place where you can't really do all the things that you want. Like, for instance, if here Firefox, you can't see it, but if OBS that I'm streaming from decides, yo, let's shut down the computer, it couldn't do that. couldn't do that. It would have to go through the OS, who then does the command. So basically, ring is an idea of limiting the power of each application. So we have ring 0, which is kernel mode. It can access to every byte of RAM. It can configure the CPU. It can talk to hardware. It can create process. It can really do anything. So you don't want everyone doing that, because otherwise, hey, morning Hades. I'll read everyone's chat in a little bit. Just really focused on explaining what I just learned yesterday. You can really do anything. And if everyone can do everything, then you're screwed, because if there's a malware onto any system, then we're really screwed. We're really screwed because there's nothing protecting us. If everything has access to every... It's like a company where everyone's the CEO. Like, everyone can just have access to computers. Everyone can have access to payment things. Yeehaw, Brooke. Oh my god, Brooke, it's been such a long time. I was actually thinking about you today. I don't think about you every day, but today I did. that would be weird. So hey, Brooke. Ring 3 applications. Yeah, it's like in a company. If everyone was a CEO, and everyone was a CEO and could have access to, could do like financial transfers. They could also do IT if they wanted to. They could also do HR and check everyone's salary, edit people's salaries. If no one was a manager, it'd be like, wow. It'd be a hectic company. Huh? I would love to work there. I would love to work there at a company where you can just do anything you want. So yeah, like sounds lovely, but not really. I'd edit your salary. I'd rather you salary. Nice. You should be my boss, man. The brookie. Are you really good at at cyber insurance? Are you talking about value? We're talking about ring. The concept of ring 0, ring 3. The ways that you can block accesses from one ring to another. Like, it's a Linux. I'm pretty sure you know Hades, but it's a permission kind of level thing. If the lower ring you are, the more permissions you have on a system. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, it's like if everyone was on ring 0, it'd be hectic. It would be a company without a CEO, with everyone just has every right. Dude, that'd be like a free for all. I'd freaking love it. Even on a computer, that sounds really fun. Like you like every app has pseudo privilege and just runs it by default. That'd be really fun. All right. Epistemic Arcanist. From 4 minutes ago, we asked, what did we ask again? We asked a question about, oh yeah, if many small objects take more space combined than a large one, then like one large file. I think large files are more efficient, but epistemic is saying not quite. As small objects will still be the same size. You can still store single bytes on a 64-bit system. But yes, a pointer to that single byte will be 8 bytes. Ah, I see. So pointers will be large no matter what, because it makes sense. They have to be 8 bytes. Because 8 bytes is the total. Oh, wow. Because 8 bytes is a total byte of RAM. So if you have a million houses, a million potential addresses, you'll need the pointer to be a million, to be, well, a million is how many zeros? It's 6 zeros, right? 6 zeros, 1 1. So you'll need the pointer to be very large, because you have that many potentials. You'll need to have, even if you live at address 14, you'll need to have 4 zeros, 0 0 0 0 1 4. So the pointer will be larger. So it's such little savings, no? Like when you think about it, when you think about the size of the computer, the pointer, you're going to save a little bit. That's really smart, we said. Epistemic Arcanist. I appreciate that. But like the web page stored in memory will be the same size, 32-bit and 64-bit. Good morning to you, Hades. And yeehaw, hello, Brooke. Focus, focus. I can do all things. Everything. Folks, if you don't know Brooke, Brooke was, I think, one of the first viewers on this channel, regular viewers that came every morning, told us to drink water. Cheers. And works as a broker in some financial products. So doesn't know a ton about IT, just likes to come and say hello. Just like another guy that was called Fried Liver King, who was a doctor. I tend to remember quite well the viewers, I'd say. All right, Freedom Dao. Temple, maybe, because I thought of him. Maybe he's going to summon, just like Brooke. Temple OS says Ring 0 Overlord. I'm not sure what that means, Freedom Dao. Learn it, explain it simply, find the gaps, review them, and then explain it better. Yeah. Exactly what just happened, Mathieu. Exactly right. I kind of like the idea of everyone being the CEO of Twitch. Lol. Wow, the CEO of Twitch? Man, everyone would be banning the fuck out of each other. Wow. It'd be hectic. Add it to your salary. Nice. Are you talking about Valve? I'm a great boss. Nice. I'm a master delegator. That's pretty good, huh? Master delegator. Hydrate. There it is, Brooke. Linux protection rings. Oh, there he is, Agent 57. Man, everyone's here today. Hades, well, of course. We only see you. Yeah, I know. I'm not sharing anything, Agent 57. Just reading your chat. Man, Agent 57 wants to see everything. Well, of course you would remember a fellow doctor. Yeah. Of course. I like IT, but not my specialty. I like challenging myself. Nice. Agent 57 seems to agree with that. Terry Davis said Linux was a slop because it wasn't a single Ring 0 layer design like Tempos. Yeah? So Tempos is basically a Linux distribution where everyone has Ring 0 access? The fuck, really? Templeos, no? Tempos? Templeos, you say. I've been MIA. My new Mercedes got totaled in a storm, so I need to fly out to LA, get a new one. MIA means MIA meaning. Maybe Agent 57. MIA most commonly stands for missing in action. Okay, a military term for soldier whose fate is unknown after battle. Ay, ay, ay. In casual speech, it means someone has disappeared or gone quiet. MIA also means mine in Italian and Spanish. And beloved in Scandinavian roots. Wow. Or beloved. Mia. Mia is kind of a cool name. So you need to fly out to LA to get a new Mercedes. You can't just buy one in Chicago? I've seen it all. Temple OS. In security, they also talk about the Ring 1, the various code running below the kernel level in various hardware, like Intel Management Engine. And what is the use of Ring Level 1? We often talk about Ring Level. I'm gonna share with you the screen. One sec. Level 1, 0. But what is level 1? Man, Agent 57 must be boiling in anger right now. What do you mean you didn't share your screen? Alright, this one is the most topics where history and reality are different. In French, there is no MIA, missing in action. Yeah. In French, there is no Mia. Mia? The word doesn't exist. And the first name is not MIA. No, we don't really have that. I mean, this is borrowed from military speech. Military term. What we have is Mayday, SOS, from military terms, but MIA is not one of them. When you think about it, its origin is kind of dark, huh? Missing in action. The origin of dying in the battlefield, of missing after a battlefield, that's usually not a good sign. I like Mia as a name. Nice. I'm a car girl, a specific AMG year mileage engine. Ay, ay, ay. Difficult. All right. This is one of the topics where history and reality are different. So we're talking about here AMG. I'm not sure what AMG means. IME is not ring 1, it's ring -1. Higher privilege, I will ask about it. The IME can override the kernel memory. Oh my god. JMD is better. Alright, the Americans are fighting about German cars. I think German, no? AMG? Average mile per gallon? JDM, is that what it is? No, it's Mercedes. I'm not sure what you all mean. I'm more interested in trams as a European than in cars. JDM is a Japanese cars. Okay. Nice. Hot JDM Japanese. Okay, okay. Japanese domestic market. Got it. Oh, yeah. I think here you could hear my French accent the way I said Japanese. All right. It slips out sometimes. Anyway, so we talk about level 0. What is level 1? And then after that, we'll talk about level -1. Folks, this is the deep roots of computing here that we're into. So ring 0 is most privilege. Ring 3 is least privilege. Okay? So ring 0 is operating drivers. Ring 1 is device driver, excuse me, operating system kernel. This we know. It's clear, no? Then we have device drivers in ring 1. Device drivers. I kind of understand what they are, no? It's like what transform hardware into electric signals? Is that what it is? A driver? Is it? We're not talking about cars, but just a driver. All it does is it transfers a signal, like my mouse. You see it? Like the mouse is moving. Is that the driver working? Because that's all there is, no? Man, all right, y'all left the stream to talk about cars, and they have evolved away from cars. Yeah, kind of. How is it like in South Africa, Hades? Do you have a lot of cars? Ugh, I'm not hooked on the Japanese market yet. No, don't be sorry. You can have fun in the chat. I don't have to always be there. Second Japanese car love. Nice. So ring 2 is system services. Okay, this sounds less interesting. But device drivers are just thing that just drives. Graphic drivers. Why have 4 rings? Imagine you're designing an operating system. Not everything is equally trustworthy. Okay. We talked about it. Why aren't ring 1 and ring 2 used? Because they turned out to be awkward. They turned out to be awkward. I love that phrasing. Suppose a driver in ring 1 wants to call a kernel function in ring 0. Suppose a driver in ring 1 wants to call a kernel function in ring 0. All right, ring 1 takes up the phone and says, yo, I want this function in ring 0. Now the CPU has to ring 1, ring 0, ring 1. The operating system has to manage ring 3 to ring 2, to ring 2 to ring 1, ring 1 to ring 0, ring 0 to ring 1, ring 1 to ring 2. Okay. Basically, it has to drive all the way up and down. This adds a lot of complexity. Linux developer basically said, why not just use 2 levels? What modern operating systems do? Today, Linux, Windows, and macOS mostly use ring 3 applications and ring 0 kernel. Nothing else in between. Instead of user, semi-user, semi-kernel, kernel. Oh my god. It's much simpler. What about drivers? Drivers are dangerous. They shouldn't be on ring 1. Most drivers run in ring 0. Okay, we need to understand what drivers are. First of all, y'all in the chat need to calm the fuck down. I'm kidding, huh? Man, Brookie sending the chat on fire. The public transport here is terrible. So basically, if you want to get around without Uber, you will need a car. And yeah, I saw bikes later, but taking a bike would be kind of suicide, no? There's cities like this that if you take a bike, you're actually looking to be killed on that very day. I had 3 cars then, maybe, but I'm going to have one daily right now. And I love my AMG. I think AMG is a Mercedes brand. And plan on stage 1 tuning it after the winter. Wow. I'm debating between Insta. Okay, a bunch of cars. I love bikes. Ah, nice. I like bikes too. What bike do you have? That's what the device hardware does. Translate physical signals. Device drivers directly control that hardware. Well, Epistemic, I really appreciate your input. Huh? That's really good stuff. That's what the device hardware does. It translates physical signals, device drivers, directly to control the hardware. Is that what it does with RAM as well? Because I think drivers are also for RAM. What are drivers? What kind of objects what kind of things does it connect? All right, we're gonna check that out real quick. Problem is the Chinese cars. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. I grew up on Top Gear. Nice. We're hyped because you forgot the lab coat. All right, I'll put it on for you, Browse. Freedom DAO. Oh. Just that I'm excited to wear it. It's just it's got this I think it's synthetic fabric. You know, if this coat actually had to buy it in the United States, because they wouldn't make like nice lab coats here in Europe. Here in Europe, if you're a doctor, you're kind of broke. And you shouldn't brag with good equipment, good lab coats and all. I think this is a mentality we have in medicine. Like in the US, they like to take care of themselves and like wear good clothes. But for us in Europe, medicine should be low key, kind of. You shouldn't be flashing. But in the US, flashing is kind of the norm for doctors because you make a fuck ton of money. You're popular and everything. And in Europe, it's never really good to flash your money. In the city where I live, regularity goes through crime where cyclists get robbed. So yeah, cyclists come with a risk here. God damn. That sounds fun. South Africa, man. I think it might be a nice place to travel, but like to live. You're originally from there, right? Rouse? Alright. I pulled in the batteries and pulled them out again. See if you can give me a few more hours. All I need is like 2 hours, bro. Okay, yeah. My mouse is gone. I'm gonna have to pilot it with the the trackpad. All right. We're hyped because I forgot the lab code. Brooke, you getting an extra 80s manual? Okay, 1, fix the computer. No, wait. One time I fixed the computer in my Honda by rubbing the board for 2 hours with alcohol and a Q-tip. That was it. I hit it. It hit VTEC after. I'm not sure what that is. No drivers for RAM. That's handled with the CPU hardware. Okay. Thank you, Epistemic. Ross AK, I know where you have money to collect. One day we will dye a lab coat, lol? What do you mean? You want me to dye my lab coat? You want to bury me with it? You can get them for like 3 to 5K here. Run and drive. Maybe a little work, but it's easy to find yourself. I can afford my car taste. I want to... For the record, I love South Africa and don't want to move. Sure, there's a problem, but you learn to manage things. Yeah, I agree. And problems are kind of like the lovely part of it. And no place is perfect. And problems is kind of what makes it yours, right? Ah, you're from South Africa. Hard to kill a Honda, lol. Yep, I am. One of my mentors is from there. I'm just traveling on... I'm planning on traveling there soon. You gotta send me the must-see do pretty please. Nice. Yeah, I'd be pretty down to hear it too. We'll for sure go to South Africa one day. VTech kind of said like VTech. Tie-dye is fun. There are activities for all interests, so will largely depend on what you like. My only advice would be to not do things alone. Not alone. All right. So what did we learn, folks? We learned a few things, and here we asked a good question, I believe. What are drivers? What kind of things does it connect? Excellent. Drivers are one of the most important pieces of an operating system because they are the bridge between software and hardware. So just like Epistemic explained, a driver is simply a piece of software that knows how to communicate with a specific hardware device. One more time. A driver is simply a piece of software that knows how to communicate with a specific hardware device. Seems pretty damn easy. Then one question I have is, why do I have to get my drivers updated? Like, bro, if you're just converting signal, like physical signal into... Is that it? That knows how to communicate with a specific hardware device. If you're communicating, like, why do you need communication? Like, my mouse doesn't update. Why do I need to update my mouse software? Like, my mouse is the same. Imagine your operating system. Suppose an application wants to display a pixel on the screen. It says, draw a red pixel at 100, 200. The kernel understands that request. But the GPU doesn't understand English. Oh, damn it. Fucking useless GPU. It understands something more like write 0x3 to register 0xFF1 to 84. Or smart DMA transfer. The driver translates between these two worlds. Think of a translator. Imagine you're in Japan. You speak English. The shopkeeper speaks Japanese. You translator shopkeeper. The translator is a driver. Okay. Applications don't need to know the hardware works. They just need to be able to communicate with it. A keyboard, when you press an A, keyboard electric signal over USB, USB controller, keyboard driver, operating system, application, A. God damn, that's a long travel. So when I press a keyboard, it generates an electric signal over USB. Pretty straightforward. And then there's a USB controller. I'm not sure what that is. Is it the USB port? Probably the what's in my computer to understand USB signals. Keyboard driver, and then you have a keyboard driver, which is more like a driver. I don't know. Operating system and application. But I think all what we need to know here is that there's a communication means of communication, which is a driver between my keyboard and my laptop. And it happens almost instantaneously. Type P, 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 P. It's crazy. It's crazy how much work goes into everything that we use on computers and we don't even realize it. Insane. All right, my battery in the mouse is really dying. It's okay. All right. I'm gonna let you enjoy the card chat by yourselves, folks. It's about South Africa though. This I'm interested in. It's not safe if you don't know the country. You can travel 2 kilometers and end up in a really bad area. Kind of like Chicago, no? Yeah. Oh, this is what you said afterwards, Brooke. Lol, I'm from Chicago, so nice. Yeah, Chicago is kind of like that. Yeah, Johannesburg gets sketchy, lol. It's not just a JHB. Okay. I'm from the nicest part of Chicago, so never anything worse sketchy. Are you in Lincoln Park? I'm Brooke. Maybe we know each other, because I think we're from the same year, no? Brooke? Maybe we know each other. Are you sure you don't know me? From before? I used to know Brooke or two. I think it's a pretty common name in our generation. Alright, nice. Epistemic is back to bring the topic back to drivers. Because device drivers are just code. They have bugs like other code. And because they run in ring 0 or in ring 1, if you exploit a bug in them, you get ring 0 access. So we could hack our keyboard and we could hack our, like, I don't know, just hack the keyboard? Can we do that? Can I hack the computer through the keyboard? I think that's what you're saying. EU electric. I'm filtering out all the messages about the cars. Keyboards are a little weird though, because they are mostly handled by the BIOS, not the drivers in Linux. Otherwise, the keyboard wouldn't work until Linux boyetted and loaded drivers. Did you live in Chicago? Yeah. For 6 years. I love weeding out car people by asking their favorite Porsche. Nice. Oh, lol, yes, you can hack keyboards. I've been hacked by keyboards before and returned them to the electronic store. Like, the keyboard hacked me and they look like, what? No way, tell us more about it, Freedom DAO. The heck happened? We definitely matched in an app in Chicago then. There's no way. Maybe. Wow, your face looks familiar. Folks, did I just meet a match from Chicago from back then? Was I cringe on the app? It's possible I was cringe. Now I'm worried. No way, you were hacked by a keyboard from the store. Anything wireless can be hacked. We definitely match in our app in Chicago then. I swear you look familiar. I mean, if you're from 97 and you were living in Lincoln Park, there's one elementary school and one high school that are pretty dominant there, no? With the name Lincoln. I swear you seem familiar. But as Freedom South says, a malicious USB device will give you a lot of control. My keyboard has open source firmware so we can audit the code. It was a Raspberry Pi and someone swapped my keyboard with a naughty one. No way. So what's so dangerous? You keep getting new computers, so you get a new keyboard, you say pawned. So it was a Raspberry Pi. So you plugged into a Raspberry Pi and it was a naughty one. So it's dangerous if you keep getting new computers and not getting new keyboard. You will say pawned. So someone took a keyboard, hacked it, and then returned it to the store? Is that what you're saying, Freedom DAO? It came from the store hacked too, lol. What the heck? No, haha, I'm notorious for dating Europeans, so I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. Maybe. Open box return. Now, brand new supply chain attacked by adversary. No way. Unless it's intentional from manufacturer. Pawned. Nice one. Nice use of that emote. Unless intentional by manufacturer. What year were you here? I was in a private school. Ah, okay. I wasn't. I was here between 2008 and 2014. Most likely, yes, in some waterhouse from China, like that. I don't know. No way. What kind of hack happened? What were they doing? There have been endless types of devices used for hacking. Nothing is really safe. It could have been the manufacturer. They've been doing some naughty stuff. But Freedom DAO, what kind of hack was going on? China does put backdoors on everything they send over. I agree, yeah. I watched a video yesterday about how some of these hack devices were scanning the networks and if a device went down, would take the place in the network, and then would do more scans to see what the device was seeing. It was just scanning your whole home, and then it had open doors to your network too. I mean, in an attack scenario, it would make sense that if China and the US actually went to war, this could be a really cool weapon for China to leverage to turn people's internet off, to damage their networks and stuff. That could be pretty good. Did you like it at all? I'm dying to know where you were. Near Belden. I was I mean the school I was near Belden. Belden doesn't ring a bell. It was in Chicago itself. Are you also from 97, Brooke? USB rubber ducky is a similar tool designed to be used by pen testers. It loads keyboard and network cards so attackers can inject keystrokes and new data. Yeah, I've heard about these ones, rubber duckies. They're drivers that pretend to be like keyboards. I actually have one of those. It's actually over here in my wardrobe. If you want to see it, but I'll have to dig through my stuff. I don't want to do this on stream, but I have a little. It's just a motherboard. I bought a Pico. What are they called? Pico No, Pico, not Pico CTF. That's the platform. About a little Pico computer that pretends to be a device, and I think you can do little things with it. I bought it for my previous work so that I could keep active on Teams. Like, it would jiggle the mouse for me every 4 seconds, every 5 seconds or so. It was really fun. It was really fun. USB rubber ducky is a similar tool designed to be used by pen testers. It loads a key and network card so attackers can inject keystrokes and network data. Yeah, let's check it out, a rubber ducky. USB rubber ducky. I mean, if you're gonna be a pen tester, your rubber ducky should look like a rubber ducky, like it should be yellow. There we go. There we go. That's the kind of thing we want. A rubber ducky with a guillotined rubber ducky. Decapitated. You see right there? That's the kind of product we're after. USB rubber ducky. Shop $100. Hack5.org. Basic, you get a USB rubber ducky. Pro, you get a Payload Studio Pro pocket guide, and Elite, you get a textbook. It's kind of like 110, 130. Keystroke injection attack with advanced duck. That'd be fun, no? That'd be kind of fun. We took another path in cybersecurity. All right. Freedom DAO says, oh, it was my nightmare. They put like .js on my Chrome environment so that when I'd load a website like Coinbase, it would not let me full screen the chart. They would replace commands in my terminal like R, install, command, etc. They commands to run on my programs, change it without rejects. That seems like someone was getting trolled then. Because if you were logging into a website like Coinbase, they would probably try to steal your Bitcoin, no? Your crypto. That's how it would work. My roommate's smart TV constantly scans the whole home ever with ARC. I think you want me to say even. Even with ARC and monitoring disabled. Holy moly. Smart TV. Yeah, smart TVs are real spy things. I think China's taking advantage of it being expensive for people to sell a knockoff version that just spyware. They spend a lot of time to torture me with that hack. Oh man. They were just doing this just to fuck with you. No real reason. Brooke says I'm a 97 baby. Nice. So, I mean, it's honestly, if you were using apps in 2013, 2014, like I think Tinder was very big back then, then probably we match now. It's likely. It says it wouldn't be fun. Maybe you should go back on that app on Tinder and search for your cyber doctor. See if I'm there. Already with the lab coat at like 16, 17 years old. I didn't have it back then, but it would be really funny if I did. Gotta check the JTAG or UART to access the flash. The NSA and the US were doing similar supply chains. It was revealed in Snowden files. Yeah, for sure. Honestly, the US is pretty similar. The only thing is that the US, I think, got away with it because it's a democracy. Kind of. It's a democracy, but yeah, it's a democracy. The US is a democracy, yeah. And it's an ally for us in Europe. But yeah, China's a little bit different. But the US, we're starting to be more wary of it, huh? It's acting really sus on many things. But the thing is, like, the US controls so many things in today's environment. Like, it controls cloud, it controls AI. Like, where am I here? I'm on Google. What is this? Shanghai 5. Maybe it's European, but like it's not that relevant. Where am I here? Where am I streaming from? It's Twitch and YouTube. All American. What language am I streaming in? English. Probably because I'm streaming with Americans. Man. The US, I mean, we're just super reliant on you folks. For technology, it's crazy. Rouse is 97 too as well. Nice. Rock out. Nice. You have some really cool emotes, Rouse, and you know how to use them. That's pretty cool. Epistemic Arcanist, naughty. Look, I have the scanners. Pi Pico, I think it was that. I think so too. You totally know Annette's and Ospark and Armitage Avenue. Yeah, I know all these. I don't really know Annette's, but I know Ospark and Armitage Avenue. Yeah, I do. I think my gym was on Armitage. Armitage and... what was the bus stop? Armitage and McCormick. Something like that, McCormick. It rings a bell. Hog 5000, but what's different between this rubber ducky and a regular USB? What's the difference really? And the Pico card I just bought, isn't it the same thing? Just with another driver here for USB-C? I am Jacobi. Wrote most of the scripts for this. Yeah. I imagine there's also open source versions to run Raspberry Pi Pico. Probably hardware the mouse jiggler you had used. Yeah, this is what. I think I used open source, open hardware to get that mouse jiggler. But the thing is, for moving the mouse, it's kind of dangerous to get open. I mean, it's open source, you should be able to read it. But back then I didn't read it. I'm like, what if someone decides to troll me and I hack the computer of the company? Which is why I didn't use it too much. To be honest, I don't even know if I plugged it in. I created it, I don't even know if I plugged it in. I plugged it into this computer that I'm on right now because I'm like, okay, I have CrowdStrike on it. And I can always reset that computer. But the work computer, if we're like month 1, you're already starting to plug in USBs that get the company hacked so that you could jiggle the mouse, you're not gonna have a good time. Just look up Weeping Angel NSA Smart TV Operation Lol. Holy shit. I'm gonna have a quick look. We are a little bit late on chat, which is cool. Weeping Angel NSA. The weird names CIA gives its hacking tools. Weeping Angel tool was developed by the CIA and British intelligence MI5, not the NSA, to recover record audio through Samsung smart TVs by faking power off state. Yeah, I heard about that one. It became known to the public as part of Vault 7 leaks published by WikiLeaks in 2017. Holy moly. Record audio through Samsung smart TVs by faking a power off state. Wow, it would continue to record audio. Holy shit, that's creepy. Dude, I'm pretty sure our phones are listening to us, no? It's really creepy. I have it in my pocket all the time. Who doesn't? Is it there? It's behind me. But like, isn't it crazy that we are reliant on our phones that much? Like, if this was in 2017, I think just companies have gotten better at hiding it. By faking power off state, it became known to the public as part of the Vault 7. Insane. Insane that just a government would get into your stuff like that. And Samsung is a Korean company. How did they get access to that? Pretty much 99% of it was psychological intimidation and 1% was data exfiltration because I'm already a false person, fear of social status. Person, they really can't get anything novel. But now I defeated the attack as I used an LM scanner. Advanced infosec. Ah, okay. Because I'm already a false person, they can't get anything novel. Okay, I understand. I understand what you mean, Freedom Though. But how I defeated the attack? I used an LLM scanner. Also, this was quite recent, huh? If you used an LLM scanner, advanced infosec scanning, I invented using an LLA. Alright. Alright, we can have it. MA2 and custom quantum circuits. I detected them and I used LLMs to find tools, scan my kernel, and check the kernel hash against a known good hash, and it was cooked. Wow, nice. Good job, man. But you still returned the keyboard, no? You're like, this thing was hacked. The EU are now pursuing a cyber sovereignty stuff to get away from the US, but yeah, I'm more concerned about China. The thing though is, for cyber, also European solutions are quite late. When you look at top EDR companies, what are you gonna have? Transitioning EPP. Do they have a? All right, so they have all the different products. CrowdStrike, yeah, probably the best one out there. American. Sentinel-1, American. Sophos. Where is Sophos from? British. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. Microsoft, American. Trellix. I think it's the old name. It's the new name for McAfee. Oh no, isn't it Broadcom? Broadcom is Cisco. So US. Trend AI. Wow, it was Trend Micro before. Look at them. Look at them surfing on the wave of AI. Trend AI, Vision 1. Phew. Inset I think is from Romania. Inset. Home. Headquarters. I think it's from Romania. Bratislava. They're Slovak. So yeah, we have in Europe we have 2 cybersecurity companies just in EDR. And EDR is pretty sensitive because EDR is pretty sensitive because it has access to the endpoint, which is where the data lies. But yeah, the leading 2 are really these 2. Like if you want something serious, you get these 2 or this one. And folks, I know my stuff because I was selling EDR before. And that is the walk-up ice cream shop. I don't remember. A couple blocks down. Yeah, I didn't go there, I think. Maybe it came out later. Maybe I wasn't a big fan of ice cream. Maybe. I then threw away the Raspberry Pi and got a phone. Didn't have a computer for a year. Used old phones. Then I got a secure computer. Nice. Write your own infosec tools. Man, yeah, but you can't. I mean, some people write their own OSs, but you need to rely on other people because otherwise you're not gonna move anywhere. Yeah, Rubber Ducky is basically a Pico with custom firmware. Ah, okay. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility as well, but it's like 100% the price. I think I paid like $7 for a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, the Pi Pico. They make rubber duckies in variants of devices. Sometimes they are like USB cables. Sometimes it's plug-in devices like USB Blue Yeti. I've hacked a PS3 before. I've had paint cans and even 5 gallons of bucket with 5G LTE MT Grey Sailor Swaff King. These buckets cost $20,000 for use of them and micro USB. That's 10,000K. I'm not a cheap target, lol. Holy moly. Freedom DAO investing in cyber. If you get hit with buckets or sprain pans, my heart goes out to you. Luckily, I'm never the one breaking the law, but I talk. but I talked to many that do. Oof. Financial sector. Okay, I need sleep. Good night, Doc. Good night, Brokey. Nice talking with you. Man, crazy. We grew up in the same area at the same time. Tools prior to 2017 that had a way crazier. You can check out NSA and tools. Wild shit. Yeah. I wonder why the NSA shared so many of their tools. NSA INANT. Ant catalog. The Ant catalog or Tau catalog is a classified product cataloged by the US National Security Agency, NSA, with the versions written 2008-2009 was published by German news Der Spiegel. In December. No, I can't do the German accent. 2013, 49 catalog pages with picture, diagrams, and descriptions of espionage devices and spying software were published. The items are available in the tailored access operations unit that were mostly targeted at products from the US companies such as Apple, Cisco, and Dell. Boof. Man, so many things happening there. Bratislava, okay, good night for real. Don't go to bed, you have homework. Watch JDM videos as you fall asleep. Most likely none of you will get problems if you do get into some shit like I did. Remember, if you can always turn off the devices, wait a while. Like, you don't have to be online 24/7. Sometimes your best move is write down your password on paper, store them, and stay offline during severe intrusion event. Really? You just turn off your computer and you don't do anything. This is why I have a CRTV and watch VHS tapes, lol. If you learn that you will defeat the red teams every time. They don't share them, they get leaked. And I say go to my leaks in the Titanic. The thing about that though is that you can always turn off your system and wait it out, but usually the attackers have leverage. I mean, maybe not in your case, because you can always turn on your computer a week later. But when it comes to companies, like you need to have what's it called? When it comes to companies, you need to have you need to keep running. You can maybe go down a weekend, but if you just don't turn on your computers for a while, you're not going to produce anything. Como leaks more than Titanic. Beauf! You folks were participative today. And now Brookie left and we're all quiet. I think Brookie's the only open female person that we have on the chat. Maybe there's more of them. That's the one that's like openly female. All right. Cool. What were we up to, folks? Oh, what a ride. There's a few more things I want to check out about LLM cybersecurity. That's a funny sentence. Only openly female. That's true. I agree. It's a funny sentence. Openly female. In any other language than English that I know, if you say female, it doesn't sound really good. But English, it's totally fine for some reason. Female, it's very biological to name it. I'm not sure how it's reflected in South Africa. But in other languages, it's kind of animalistic. When even you say male, it's like, nah, you shouldn't say that. Freedom South says, yeah, that's one of the best moves, defeating the red team. If you do deboot, write down passwords. It's likely that if you turn off soon enough, especially if you have an intrusion detection system, and they red alert, I have ID systems that will alert weeks ahead. Then blue team of developers will have a full-time server, and then you have literally preventing an entire attaching from happening. All right, Freedom Doubt, tell us more about your background. What do you do? We have a special scanning system that custom built that will scan autonomously and proactively predict instructions early, even weeks early. So that's why deboot offline mode is key. Just watch TV for a couple of weeks. I mean, it's fine if you're a person and you have time, but for a company, you just send your employees to watch TV. Like, what do you like? You watch Friends in the conference room on DVD. Like, how does a company make money? How do you deliver your promises to your clients? I think English is heading in that direction too. In South Africa, it doesn't really matter how much, I don't think. The biological one? Londisha, you say female, they don't like it. Yeah? But what about if you say male? Better to have an infrastructure than to be ransomware. Nah, I think sometimes you actually want to be ransomware more than you want to be... Like, think about it. For instance, man, a place where a production environment, like a hospital, like you need your hospital working. You need your patients' data. You need, like, it matters for saving lives, for serving clients. What are you gonna do? Send the doctors watch Friends in the waiting room while your patients are out there not getting the treatment that they need? No. You have to risk getting ransomware. Even if your IT person says, yo, we're gonna get a ransomware. They're like, okay, cool. I got 38 patients that need liver transplant or whatever. You can't... ransomware is survivable, but your patients, your reputation and all, your contractual penalties are way more important. If you have 2 weeks of downtime to prevent 40% of your traffic being ransomware. Just imagine the cost. Yeah, exactly. The hospital should have offline backups. It should. I think woman is the appropriate term. Openly female. Okay, so if I said openly woman, openly ladylike, openly... Because I said someone who is openly female. How do you say? Openly woman? Who is openly a woman? I like using the adjective female. Openly feminine, but feminine is more of a trait than an attribute. Does that make sense? Than like an actual physical attribute. I don't know how you'd say it, because there's no adjective then. You kind of destroy... I would have to say who is not openly a woman. It sounds weird. Like a bunch of dudes saying, talking about how women should be described as. They shouldn't need digital infrastructure. I'm assuming we're a bunch of men. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, huh? Maybe a lot of you folks are women and I'm just sexist. They shouldn't need digital infrastructure criticality. Hospitals worked fine before the internet or computers. Yeah, but nowadays it's, I mean, you know, 200 years ago we used to make people bleed out to take out the medicine from their blood. We used to also put larvae to suck off people's wounds and stuff. We used to do really weird things, but now medicine gives us so many advantages. If you don't have systems, you're killing us. You're more likely to kill your patient. So yeah, you should have offline backups. You should have paper and pen. But if your X-ray machine works, but it cannot transfer it to computers because the doctor is not able to view it because there's ransomware, then that's really bad. Like, what? Like, no, we need to have the efficiency that are provided by IT. Otherwise, people are gonna die. My local hospital is currently ransomware. They used my system. There would have been a day of downtime. Man, I think it's different. I think it's different. Like downtime for... I think there's definitely better ways of doing... Downtime is a better way of... Downtime is acceptable for companies. It's just about managing it properly. Just pretend all the chat is women. Okay. Okay, I can do that. Honestly, that's a pretty good tip. Like, the entire hospital can make appointments. 40% matches are ripped. Ay. Thinking English openly female is better than labeling someone as female. Feels less clinical. Thinking English openly female is better than labeling someone as female. Feels less clinical. Just shows the state of things in society. We have to watch our speech so much more carefully. Just use a flash drive offline load. Yeah, that sounds easy. Yeah, when you have a lot of patients going one after the other and like in supply chain, yeah, just send it on a USB, easy. What if they're in different hospitals and all? Nah, man. And the hard drive, what if, like, no, there's patient data. What if you put on an infecting computer and the data leaks? Do you know how much HIPAA fines cost? Nah. And then you can't track that personal data. No. Just don't put it on a USB. No, that doesn't work. Think in English. Openly female is better. Just because today's society, we have to watch. But I think it's good, Hades, that we have to watch how we speak about things. Like, it's not much, and it means a lot to people. And there's so many things that are carrier pigeons. That's better. Now we're talking, Rouse. Now we're talking. You know, it's not much work to change how we talk about people, and it makes a world of difference. So I think we should be open to changing our language a little bit. The data can't leak if it's powered off. I mean, it can if someone steals a hard drive. Anyway, folks, we've been distracted. Well, are we going to hack more AI because we're talking about like that? Don't think so. Markov chain floating point. Ooh, SSD drivers. There's XFCE drivers. Where sectors are, how where level works, SSD drivers handle all of that. Example, GPU is one example of relevant for AI. Suppose PyTorch wants to multiply two matrices. The driver allocates GPU memory, copies data, launches GPU programs. Okay, I want to ask a quick question here. Do GPUs have their own memory, or do they rely on RAM? Excellent question. The answer is most GPU have their own memory, but some GPUs share the system's RAM. This distinction is very important for gaming, AI, and LLMs. Two types of GPUs. One integrated GPU, iGPU. Okay, we're gonna write this down. I think this is quite interesting. Let me build a hospital infra and I'll build it unstoppable. Freedom Dell, I think you're underestimating how complex hospitals are with their end-of-life systems, with their super expensive machines, their untrained staff, their thousands and thousands of patients. There's so much complexity in hospitals. There's so much complexity and so much at stake. It's like, oh, and you probably don't get, I mean, maybe in the US you do get paid well, but I think in France you don't get that well if you're working in cybersecurity in a hospital. So in Spanish we would say me da palo, which means I'm lazy about it. The Pit US TV show sets in a hospital had an episode where due to ransomware attacks at their hospitals, they had to shut down all IT systems. Damn. Doesn't surprise me. It's like a reality, and I think it's entertaining to watch. And it's also reality, unfortunately. It's different. In first world countries, things are structured enough that there is time to care about nuances in speech. Most care female woman would not change the meaning of your sentence. That's true. Yeah, it's a first world country thing. I agree. Like when you have time to think about it. I'd have the hospital air gapped AF with rectulum on there, with canaries running 24/7 PQ sims, etc. Bro, when you get that hospital, let me know and I'll go to it. I'll go to it for anything at all, just so I can enjoy the security of your hospital. Be like, wow, nice duck canneries out there. They should learn and build cloud down paper-based systems. Cloud down paper-based systems. Maybe. All right, cool. So we're learning about the different types of GPUs. Let's go to it. So GPUs, we have. Do you guys know about it? Like the integrated GPUs and all? Or are you learning with me? IGPUs. They're integrated. Instead, it borrows some of your system RAM. Okay, so it uses the system RAM. I just faded out, folks. Uses system RAM. Cool. So this is the I. What are the advantages for that? The GPU might reserve 2 GB. Now, effectively, you have CPU 14 GB, 2 GB shared from RAM. Okay. Dedicated GPU. These have their own memory chips mounted next to the GPU. Okay, these are pretty cool. GPUs. This is what it's called VRAM, video RAM. Have their own RAM called VRAM. My computer also features virtual RAM as well. It's like a piece of my SSD, a swap that I used as extra RAM. I think you can do that. iGPU sharing RAM is slower than it has to go through the CPU. Apple M series plus some others have special architectures where memory is shared between CPU and GPU in their hardware, which is faster but still slower than the fast dedicated GDDR memory on GPUs. Okay, one sec. Is shared between CPU and GPU and the hardware is faster but still slower than dedicated GRR memory on GPU. We'll read about that in a sec. We'll ask this to ChatGPT to expand it, but I thank you, Epistemic, for bringing the topic. It's an important one. I'm not just talking crap. I was working on real systems to prevent hospital penetration via phishing scanning tool. Imagine a special web browser that detects phishing logins via Vision LLM models. And a single prompt, safe phishing. So like filters out thanks to the LLM. That's pretty cool. The local hospital was phished via advanced adversary thinking nation-state level attacks. Oof. And one way to defeat this is literal Vision LLM phishing detection system. Yeah. Well, that sounds pretty advanced. I think there's so many things you can do in cyber with LLMs. M5 Mac with unified GPU CPU memory on top of a 614 GBs per second memory bandwidth. Holy moly, that's a lot of memory bandwidth. A 590 is around 1800 gigabytes per second bandwidth. God damn. That's a lot. A terabyte, 1.8 terabytes. Why do you need that much memory? In a world where we need the internet in a hospital, we can build defenses against phishing. That spear phishing attacks are the major vector of attacks lately. Yeah. I get that. Imagine they use LMs to hypercode phishing attack. We use LMs to detect them. That makes sense. Honestly, it makes sense. So there's dedicated GPUs, DGPU. I have a NVIDIA RTX as well. I think I have the 2040. Does that mean I also have my own GPU memory? we have something. Hold on. Lily of the Valley, giving 1 subscription subscription. Oh, hello, Lily of the Valley. You gifted 1 subscription. Ay ay ay. Lily of the Valley, you didn't become a subscriber, but you did you gifted someone a follower, a subscription. So there's someone from the chat who's a lucky person and now becomes a follower. But thank you very much, Lily of the Valley, for your subscription. Appreciate it. I'm saying this because Lily of the Valley is a person that I know that has been meaning to subscribe, but actually instead of subscribing, gifted a sub. But it's okay. It's all good. Thank you very much, Lily, for your contribution. You made someone very happy. Cool. And the poor employees have no idea what you can do to shield them. This is the phishing detection prototype. Okay. Let's go check it out. Oh, it's opening on the wrong one. Phishing. All I see here is phishing. I think there's a button in the chat. It's not displaying everything. Okay, cool. I want to finish this, folks. I'm going to finish this, folks, before we get back to our conversation. Why give a GPU its own memory? Because GPUs are designed to move huge amounts of data. Think about a modern LLM. Suppose one layer is 16,000 times 16,000 weights. That's hundreds of millions of numbers. GPU want those numbers right next to it. It had to fetch every number across the motherboard from system RAM. It would spend much of its time waiting. Aha. Because it's too far? To get an ingredient slow. Private pantry. Everything is besides the stove fast. Dedicated VRAM is in the GPU private pantry. And is VRAM built differently to the RAM? Like, is it the actual same thing? How does the data get there? Model to Cuba, VRAM, now the GPU is on. Can the GPU read RAM? Yes. But it's much slower. The path looks like GPU, PCIe, CPU, RAM. Yeah. Compared to GPU RAM, VRAM, the second path is vastly faster. Why do people care so much about VRAM? Suppose you have an RTX 4090 and 40 gigabytes of VRAM. Holy moly, that's a lot. Your model is 40 gigabytes. It doesn't fit. You have options. Split across multiple GPUs. Quantize the model. Store weights with fewer bits. Offline some layers to RAM. Oh. That last option works, but it's much slower because data has to travel to the CP. Wow, PCIe bus. What is a PCIe bus, folks? Is that the motherboard? What is the bus? Is that the motherboard? If anyone wants to steal and use it, please do and stop these phishing hackers. Nice. The importance of memory speed varies by task. For LLMs, the token prefill phase is compute bound, so less sensitive to memory bandwidth. One more time. The importance of memory speed varies by task. For LLMs, the token prefill phase is compute bound, so less sensitive to memory bandwidth, while the token generation phase is memory bandwidth limited. So for training, it's especially important, but for computing, a little bit less. That's it, my B. What does it mean, my B? I forgot to click the share button on the top. I'm going to check it out. Freedom DAO. Well, we're learning a lot today about different things. Like we went a bit off course today. Deploy a modern standalone browser hooking frameworks for red teams, security researchers, and educators. A clean room for successor to Beef. And the blind cross-site scripting callbacks tools we live in. Man, this is so vibe coded. I recognize Claude layout here. And the font, everything on there is screaming Claude. Okay, what about a setup that screenshots every new website and gets one word reply from a Gemma 4 model safe or? You cannot rely on screenshots alone. Damn. I think it's a cool idea to stop fishing like this. It's a cool idea to stop fishing like this. Is VRAM physically different from RAM? Yes. Although both store bits using similar semiconductor technology, they're both form of DRAM. They are optimized for different jobs. Think of them like two types of warehouse. RAM is system memory. The CPU is like an office worker. It needs small pieces of information from lots of different places very quickly. New example, read byte 20, read byte 8, read byte 130, read byte 32, lots of random access. System RAM is optimized for low latency, modern bandwidth, serving a few CPU cores. Typical bandwidth today, 50 to 60 gigabyte per second, depends on memory channels and DDR generation. Okay, VRAM, the GPU is completely different. Imagine multiplying two huge matrices. Instead of reading one number, 5, the GPU wants 5, 8, 3, 1, 9, 6, 2. Thousands of numbers simultaneously. It cares much more about bandwidth than latency. It's more about the bulk of how much you can take versus how many reps you can do. Kind of a fitness gym bro. Comparison. Modern GPUs may have memory bandwidth like 500 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, even 3 to 5 terabytes on high-end accelerators while using HBM. High bandwidth memory. That's tens of times more than typical system RAM. Even 3 to 5 terabytes per second on high-end AI accelerators using HBM. High bandwidth memory. That's tens of times more than typical RAM. Wow. Why is VRAM faster? There are several engineering reasons. Wider memory interface. Suppose CPU talks to RAM through 64-bit wide interface. A GPU might use 256-bit, 384-bit to 512-bit, or even 5,000 bits wide internally with HBM. Okay, it kind of lost me here. It kind of lost me. Epistemic Anarchist says, yeah, for training, compute speed would matter more. They also now look at the splitting token prefill and the actual recurrent token generation across different hardware for optimal speed. Yeah, for training, compute speed would matter more. They also now are looking at splitting token prefill and the actual recurrent token generation across different hardware for optimal speed. Yeah, prompt processing, yes, but token prefill, I get that. The actual recurrent token generation across different hardware for optimal speed. Wow, that's really cool. So like auto detects hardware? Wow, that's really cool. Damn. It like makes decisions to optimize how it works itself. That's insane. Yeah, no one has made a tool to stop phishing yet. Ouch. With LLM deployed. Imagine LLM with Gemma 4. And tiny models could develop this to run instantly. Yeah, it could. It could, and I think so many people are doing it. What are we doing here? Hello, Ghost. We're becoming ninjas in different systems here. We're talking, well, there's Freedom DAO talking about using LLMs for phishing detection. And the rest of us, the rest of us are talking about the different GPUs and how they relate to AI cybersecurity. And folks, for those of you that don't know Ghost is one of the first people on this channel from India and is a network engineer, specialist in networks, and is a pretty good at pen testing. I think you want to become and wants to join the ranks in cybersecurity. I'm not sure if you've made it since Ghost. CPU. I think he used to be a streamer. I'm not sure if you still stream, Ghost. I haven't seen you online in a while. So Epistemic Arcanist is saying, yeah, you do a token prefill one system, then send the computed tensors across to another token generation, or split between two cards in one system. That's insane. It's insane. It would take a lot. 2-lane road. Okay, one question I have, folks, is I have a virtual machine on. It's not like I'm trying to fix it. It's just I'm trying to understand what's happening. I have a virtual machine. I have a virtual machine which has Linux on it, and for some reason I cannot access my GPU in my computer, and I wonder why that is. Can't my drivers just access it, like through my host? Why can everything else connect, like my CPU and everything, but not my GPU? You need to pass through your GPU. I'm not sure what you mean. So imagine road, CPU, this 2-lane road, GPU, 32-lane highway. More lanes means more data can move through every clock cycle. The memory chips are close on a graphic card. VRAM, this. The memory chips just millimeters from the GPU. That helps achieve high transfer speeds. What is it? PIEC bus? Excellent question. PCIe Express bus is not the motherboard itself. Think of the board as a city. Inside the city, there are roads connecting different buildings. PCIe in one of these major highways. I want to see what a PCIe is then. PCIe. These are these things. They look like Lego a little bit. PCIe, Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, is a high-speed serial computer expansion bus standard designed to attach hardware peripherals such as graphic cards, GPU. Okay, so this is where you attach it. Decide hardware peripherals such as graphic cards, GPUs, MVEs, solid-state drives, and network adapters to computer motherboards. They're like plugs basically. But they're plugs, no? You need to pass through your GPU, or your GPU can just configure GPU. Yeah, pass through. Okay. Yeah, you need to configure your GPU pass-through, meaning you can't use the GPU on your host system. I see. PCIe are the roads highways. In your ring bus. What kind of GPU is it? NVIDIA, let me just check. It's not a very powerful one, but it is one. It's better than going through my CPU. System specs. System information. Hardware resources. So I have an NVIDIA. What do I have? Where is it? Where's my NVIDIA? Microsoft. Rugspace. Where's my NVIDIA? Someone stole it? Did one of you hack it away from me to put it on your own computer? Component. Maybe it's in the component? The fuck? Am I drunk or what? Where is it? This system based x64 processor. I have it. Is the whole system running Linux or Windows? Windows actually has some neat stuff allowing Linux VMs to access host GPUs. Nice. Search DXDiag. Thankfully, NVIDIA is working. Hold on, I think I should be able to see it on my specs page. System SKU, system type. No way, what the fuck? Where the heck is my card? 16 logical, maybe it's later. I have 16 logical processors. American Megatrends Inc. You want to roll AI on NVIDIA and make AI video? Maybe. Alright, search DX Diag. Alright, we'll do it. Run command. Do you want to check if drivers are digitally signed? Check your drivers. Windows might connect to the internet, but doesn't send information about your computer. Yeah, I clicked yes. So I have 16 gigs of RAM of memory. It's not saying where the heck. It's not saying the GPU. It's telling me the CPU. Should I go next page? What the heck's wrong with me? Next page, no problem. Ah, there it is. NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060. Is that any good? I don't think it's very good anymore. I bought this computer in 2020. Does my NVIDIA GTX Force 2060 have a local memory? I don't think it does, huh? What VRAM? I'm not sure. Yes, your GeForce absolutely has its own local memory. Ah, okay. It comes with 6 GB of GDDR6 VRAM. Most desktop models, a few mobile desktop variants may differ slightly. Think of your PC like this: CPU, memory bus, 16 GB of RAM, and the RTX has its own memory. That's really cool. GPU processor and 6 GB GDR6. What happens when you run an LLM? Suppose you're loading a 4 GB model. Initially, RAM GPU VRAM is copied in the RTX VRAM. The GPU performs almost all of its computation using that local memory. It does not repeatedly as a CPU. What if the model were bigger than 6 GB? That's a good question. The program refuses it to load. Okay. It parse keep the model in RAM and transfers pieces to PCIe as needed. It's much slower. It compresses or quantizes the model to make it fit. Interesting. 6 GB VRAM. It'll run Gemma 4 E2, also been run Comfy UI. All GPUs has local memory called VRAM. Some GPUs don't have VRAM. They share RAM. Mine share RAM because it's on board. Hey, Tensel. If it is on chip with the CPU, it gets a slice of the regular RAM. Nice. How fast is your RTX 2060's VRAM? Your RTX Hey, by the way, who got the subscription from Lily of the Valley? If it is on chip with the CPU, it gets a slice of the regular RAM. Okay, nice. Thank you very much. You found a YouTube guide for it. 25 minutes.
If you find my videos valuable, go ahead and subscribe and like.
Nice. From 5 years ago. Virtual gaming with Proxmox. GTX 2060. GPU pass through Windows 10. Holy moly. Francesco T got it. Yup. Basically, you need to enable a BIOS thing in your BIOS, then emulate. Okay, got it. Sounds pretty complicated. But yeah, we can have a look. We're talking about the GPU's dedicated memory, not the computer's RAM. Okay, how fast is your GTX VRAM? Bandwidth about 36 gigabytes per second. That's a lot. Holy moly. DR laptop RAM, DDR5 desktop RAM. So your GPU can read its own memory through 3 times faster than the CPU can read its system RAM. Whoa. Alright, I'm gonna actually do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna share, I'm gonna see Task Manager. Since it's a little bit private, I won't be able to share it with you folks. But we can check GPU here. GPU? No, I won't find it. Can I find my GPU health? Performance, user details? No. App history? Process. Okay, it doesn't found it. Okay, where do I go? You can go to performance and GPU. Yep, I see it. It's currently at 8% my GPU. Oh, and shared GPU memory, I have 7.9 gigabytes. I have 7.9 gigabytes. That's pretty big, no? Basically, you need to embed the BIOS thing in your BIOS that enable this. Ascodex will do it. Yeah, I think so too. So you have a pass-through. You can sometimes Google stuff like CUDA and virtual machine. Nice. Oh, it's 8:05. Gotta get to work. Dedicated GPU memory, shared GPU memory, system RAG. The GPU can borrow if necessary. If a game or AI program uses more than 6 GB, then often no subscription memory. I want to ask it one last question, and then we'll close the stream, folks. I want to ask one more question, and that question is, by the way, how did you enjoy yesterday's raid? The stream was super cool, no? If you weren't there, folks, we raided someone that was making a server, a Minecraft simulation with AI in it. It was pretty I thought it was a pretty cool stream. I didn't watch it too long, but I'm like, damn, that's really cool. All right, so let me know what you thought. I also have allocated. Jeez, I've allocated some space in my SSD for virtual RAM. How does that work? So your CPU has 6 GB and shares 2 with RAM. What do you mean shares 2 with RAM? So it means that we can have that RAM can use 2 of these gigabytes if needed. So if we have a CPU heavy computations, then we can give 2 of the RAM of the GPU to the RAM. Does that make sense? Or is it the other way around? Yes, it can always, not always. Oh, when required, not always. I see what you mean. Excellent. This is one of the coolest operating system perform. It ties together everything we've discussed: virtual memory, page tables, RAM, SSDs, and the MMU. Okay, MMU is mentioned often. I kind of want to understand what that means. What is an MMU? Your SSD is not actually RAM. The operating system just pretends that some of it is. Imagine your laptop. Let's say you have RAM 16 gigabytes, SSD 1 terabyte. Windows might create a page file, also called swap on Linux. I think that's how it's called on that too. For example, page file.sys, size 20 gigabytes. This file simply reserves spaces on the SSD. Suppose RAM fills up. Imagine you're running Chrome, VS Code, Spotify, Discord, Steam, a game. RAM starts to look like this. Chrome, VS Code, Spotify, Discord, Steam, game, no free RAM. Now you open Photoshop. Bro, what are you doing? On Steam, on a game, on Discord, on Spotify, on Code VS, on Chrome. Like, bro, stop. You open Photoshop. Where can Windows put it? Maybe Spotify hasn't been used in the last 30 minutes. Its memory is just sitting there. Windows decided I'll move Spotify to unused pages to the SSD. Before, page 52, Spotify data, page file, Spotify data, the RAM becomes free. Now Photoshop can use that RAM. Did Spotify crash? No. Spotify still thinks its memory is there. No way. That virtual address hasn't changed. The only page table changed. Now this. What happens if Spotify needs that memory? The CPU asks the MMU, where's that page? The MMU checks the table. It said it's not on the RAM. The MMU reaches a page default. It's not an error in the usual sense. It's the CPU way of saying the page you want isn't currently in physical memory. Operating system, please handle this. No way, this is incredible. Windows wakes up and then it fires a free page in RAM, reads the page from MSD, copies it back into RAM, updates the page table, restarts the instruction that caused the page to fault. Spotify continues as if nothing happened. From Spotify's perspective, read memory success. It has no idea it was temporarily stored in the SSD. Why is this slow? Typical number. CPU cache is 1 terabyte per second. No way. Or more. RAM is typically 50 to 100 gigabytes. NVMe SSD is about 3 to 7 gigabytes per second. NATA SSD is about 5 gigabytes per 0.5. So yes, wow. I kind of see the issue here. Basically, you need to enable your BIOS thing, and your BIOS enable MMU Intel. I don't really know what BIOS is. Oh, I did want to ask what is an MMU, and then we'll finish on that. I've been saying we'll finish on that for a little bit. The MMU is the memory management unit. Is one of the most important components in a computer. In many ways, it's the hardware that makes the virtual memory possible. Without the MMU, every program would have to know physical RAM address. Programs could overwrite each other's memory. Modern operating systems like Windows, Linux, and macOS wouldn't work as we know them. Where is the MMU? The MMU is part of the CPU. A simplified picture looks like this. Core's register cage mute here. Okay. It's inside the CPU. Its main job is to translate virtual addresses into physical addresses. Alright, we're going to write that down. And we're going to finish the stream after we finish reading your chats, of course. MMUs, which stands for Memory Management Unit, is, we'll just write it down, translates virtual memory into physical address. into a physical address. Nice. It's not the real RAM location. Nice. Oof. SSD is so much slower than RAM. Your CPU has 3 layers of caching between the RAM and the processor because even RAM is slower compared to CPU. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Has 3 layers of caching. Yeah, because we saw it was explained earlier that CPU is likely 1 terabyte per second, and RAM is only about 50 to 100. Maybe we can have CPU with more cache. That'd be even better than RAM. But maybe it's overkill. Yes, you can when it's not always overkill. It's like your GPU is using RAM when it's full. RAM can use SSD as RAM when RAM is full. Wow, nice. Nice. Yeah, it's true. Ah, so it's using the next... So Ghost, what you're saying makes me thinking is it's using the next fastest medium of storage. I wonder why it matters, Tesla RX, because doesn't electricity travel at the speed of light? No? Am I wrong? Why does distance matter that much? Doesn't information travel at the speed of light? Maybe I'm completely wrong. That's an outstanding question, man. I just love getting these little compliments from LLMs. If electricity travels near the speed of light, why don't we care the memory is 2 centimeters away to 20 centimeters away? Distance does matter, but it's not the only part of the story. The bigger issue is that modern CPUs and GPUs are unimaginably fast, so even tiny delays become enormous from the processor's perspective. Let's quantify it. How fast is electricity? Electrical signals on a motherboard don't travel at exactly the speed of light. They typically travel about 150 million to 200 million meters per second. Wow, that's roughly half to 2/3 the speed of light because the signals travel through copper traces and insulating materials. So how long does 10 centimeters take? Let's calculate distance, 0.8 1 meter. It will take this many seconds. 0.5 nanoseconds. Half a nanosecond. That sounds tiny. But look at the CPU. Suppose it runs at 4 gigahertz. 4 billion cycles per second. So one clock is 0.25 nanoseconds. So in time it takes a case for to traverse 10 centimeters, the CPU could have already logged into 2 clock cycles. No way. No way, it's that fast? CPUs are that fast? That the speed of light, which like half of the speed of light here or whatever, half of the speed of light is still too slow. Light travels roughly 6 centimeters during a single clock cycle of a... This is insane, no? The level of speed that we're matching here, to the point where 10 centimeters matters. Man, I wonder how data centers manage this. Because you need CPUs and memory, but you kind of need to... they need to be close together. Wow. I guess that's the point for tomorrow, or whatever time we decide to get back on this topic. We didn't get flying cars, but we get CPUs. But we did get CPUs, that's true. Plus, you need to make 100. You make sure 100s. Excuse me. Plus, you need to make sure hundreds of different signals all arrive at the same time and are stable to read. Rise time is a big thing in signal integrity. Yeah. Wow. distance between components matters a lot. How do data centers / cloud computing environments deal with this? Holy moly. CPU, wire, RAM, a real memory. It involves sending requests, decoding requests, opening the correct row inside the DRAM chip, reading stored charge, sending the data, filling CPU caches. All that takes much longer than a single travel time. Okay, so travel times matters, but it's not the only factor. That's why CPU have large caches, otherwise they spend hundreds of cycles waiting for RAM. Insane. Insane. Folks, that was it for us. Let me just check how many we are and if there's anyone streaming right now. How's your cyber doctor? All right, let's type. Oh, wow. A 24 seconds fin. Cybersecurity. Let's see if there's anyone. Your cyber doctor with 8 viewers. Okay, that's pretty cool. Hey, thank you. Who followed here? Who Neymar. Who Neymar. Nice. Thank you very much, Who Neymar. Thank you for following. Thanks for the stream. Have a good day. Thank you for coming, Hades. Lovely having you. Lovely, lovely. Enjoy your day. Yeah, we're going to finish it here, folks. There's no one really focusing on that. Thank you very much, folks. Please take care. And I'll see you tomorrow in 21 hours and 41 minutes. Ciao, folks. Have a good day. Who am I? Ah.